Hey guys, I know this is late as hell, but CS back here with another installment, and here are my picks for UFC on Fox, Henderson versus Melendez. Now, I know you guys know I can't miss this card as far as doing a video for it. Now, I did miss the season finale of The Last Tough, so I'm sorry about that, but yeah, for this card, this free Fox card, unreal. Benson Henderson versus Gilbert Melendez in the main event for that lightweight championship that Benson currently holds. Let's see if he can retain. Of course, there's Frank Mir versus Daniel Cormier in heavyweight, Nate Diaz versus Josh Thompson in lightweight, and a welterweight matchup between Jordan Mean and Matt Brown. So I'm excited for all four of those matchups. If you guys want to see my preliminary card picks, I'll leave them in the description below. There's some compelling matchups there, but let's get to the top of this card. Again, between Gilbert Melendez and Benson Henderson. Alrighty guys, now what can I say? This is my most anticipated matchup of the year. I think both these guys are exciting fighters, and they match up well with each other. You know, someone like Gilbert who's going to be motivated for this fight. Expect to see his A game come this matchup. You know, I know he's training extra hard for this one, and I know with his technical skill set, it might present some trouble for Benson if Gilbert keeps up a Frankie Edgar-like pace. Now, Gilbert's footwork isn't as good as Frankie's, but his boxing, technically, I think, is as good. You know, he's going to have to do a lot more setting up than Frankie does. Frankie can just rip really fast combinations because he's that fast and move in and out of the pocket like that. Gilbert will have to trade jabs with Benson Henderson for a while and then set up a power punch, hopefully knock down Benson for his sake. And I think that it's going to be a dogfight if Gilbert chooses to fight like that, but he has to do that, but a little bit more aggressively than what I'm describing. So I think that's how Gilbert will win his rounds and not get leg kicked too much. I don't think Gilbert should go into a wrestling match with Benson because Benson will probably wind up cage and clinching with him, and being the bigger fighter that Benson is with his tree trunks of legs, probably going to beat him up with knees there in the clinch. No one messes around with Benson Henderson in the cage and clinch in the lightweight division. Not even Gilbert Melendez can, you know, power for a double leg in that situation. So I look for Benson to just rule the grappling if there is any, whether it's in the clinch or whether it is, you know, him in Gilbert's guard. And Gilbert on his back, you know, he doesn't have the guard skills like Nick or Nate Diaz do, so I think that's going to be trouble if Benson Henderson feels like taking him down like that. I just think as far as Benson Henderson's physique, he's going to have a lot of options to be able to toy with Gilbert in this matchup. I think that's going to make the difference. If Benson feels like out-wrestling Gilbert, I think he's going to be able to. Gilbert doesn't have the footwork that Frankie Edgar has again, so I think Benson might be able to shoot in for double legs, if not take Gilbert down from the clinch. And as far as the striking is concerned, I think Benson Henderson's leg kicks are going to be a little bit more than enough to, you know, outscore Gilbert on the feet. I don't think any of these guys are going to gas. Both these guys are used to going 5 rounds. They can go, you know, a pretty decent pace as well. But again, I think due to Benson Henderson's physique, I think his skill set is just going to overwhelm Gilbert, whether it's in the clinch, whether it is standing up with those heavy leg kicks, or whether it's with a double leg. So I've got to go with Benson Henderson to mix it up over the course of 5 rounds to win a unanimous decision, at least 48-47. If Gilbert can really get aggressive with his boxing, I think that's really his only shot. I just don't see anyone out-wrestling Benson Henderson for 5 rounds. What can I say? Next matchup, heavyweight one between Frank Mir and Daniel Cormier. Both these guys are talented heavyweights. Daniel Cormier, undersized one, but he still packs a mean, you know, overhand right, you know what I'm saying? Of course, he has Olympic wrestling background. You know, I don't see Frank Mir being able to take him down from any position. I think Daniel Cormier's balance is pretty good, although he's very undersized. I just don't see any clinch at all in this fight. I think Daniel Cormier is going to be able to just pivot really well and just strike with Frank Mir. The first one who goes down will, of course, lose. You know, I'm thinking that if Daniel Cormier is able to knock Frank Mir down with a punch, I don't think he gets too wild with his own punches and gets caught in an armbar or anything like that. I think he's going to be able to pick his shots well. For the most part, I see that happening. As far as Frank Mir winning, maybe by submission after he gets knocked down and somehow recovers, I just don't think he's going to be able to be aggressive enough against Daniel Cormier on the feet. I think Daniel Cormier is going to look like a little black fedor in there, and I know everyone says that, but I think that's what we're going to see. Ultra aggressive Daniel Cormier as soon as he finds an opening, and yeah, he's going to win by first round knockout. So that's my pick, Daniel Cormier, KO. Okay, folks, now let's move on to that Josh Thompson, Nate Diaz lightweight matchup. Pretty fun one. What does Josh Thompson bring to the table? If you guys haven't watched UFC back then or even Strikeforce, then yeah, he's a fairly exciting fighter, pretty well-rounded, just not overly great at anything. Good wrestler, good cardio, good kickboxing, good jiu-jitsu. He just does not want to get into transitions with Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz might be able to snap off a triangle or maybe somehow get Josh Thompson's back or mount him. I wouldn't ground fight with Nate Diaz as far as, you know, doing a little bit too much aggressively jiu-jitsu wise. If I'm Josh Thompson, I would take advantage of the fact that Nate Diaz is flat-footed on feet, take him down, sit in his guard, and not do much but win a unanimous decision. I think Josh Thompson can really do that. He has the skill set too. And for the most part, I think he will, along with being able to compete with Nate Diaz on feet. Nate Diaz, again, I mentioned his flat-footedness. If I was Josh Thompson, do what Ben Henderson did to Nate Diaz in that last fight, and that was, kick him. Kick him in the leg. Why not? Josh Thompson does have good kickboxing. He can outkick Nate Diaz for 3 rounds as far as just being able to kick his legs in and stuff. I think Josh Thompson has a style to do it. It's just a matter of him doing it. I know he has a heavy contract. Coming over from Strikeforce, being a former champion there, the UFC could cut him if he has a bad showing. I think he's going to fight safe yet somewhat fun in this fight against Nate Diaz. I think Diaz is going to have his moments as far as being able to rip combinations and stuff, but I'm taking Josh Thompson to win with a game plan. So that's 2 AKA guys I'm picking in a row. So yeah, Josh Thompson via unanimous decision, leg kicks, and takedowns. Alrighty, folks, and last but not least, we have that welterweight matchup kicking us off on the main card between Matt Brown and Jordan Meehan. Tough fight for Matt Brown. Jordan Meehan is a monster of a welterweight. He's a big guy, and he knows how to stay on his feet and elbow you to death. If not, use the plum. He's just a bloody good striker, and he can strike from a distance as well. He knows how to set up his power punches with a jab. Matt Brown's just in for a rough night, if you ask me. Jordan Meehan, he was the first man to finish Dan Miller ever, and that's crazy, and that was his UFC debut. So, got to give it up to Jordan Meehan there. Does he finish Matt Brown? I'm going to say he does in the second round due to TKO. I think Matt Brown is an overly aggressive fighter, and I think that, Jordan Meehan's going to eventually be able to secure the plum and elbow and knees and punches to the gut. I think Matt Brown's eventually going to go down. Matt Brown, he's a warrior. I don't think he's ever been knocked out, but I think Jordan Meehan can be the guy to do it. Meehan is just too nasty and technical of a fighter. That bodes not well for Matt Brown, especially if I don't think Matt Brown has the wrestling or the judo to take down Jordan Meehan. So I'm going to go with Jordan Meehan via stand-up. Again, second round TKO due to a shit ton of strikes. And there it is, guys. That about does for my picks for UFC on Fox 7 or UFC on Fox, Henderson versus Melendez. Again, if you want my preliminary card picks, I'll leave them in the description below. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter if you guys aren't already, and subscribe if you like this content. So thanks again, and deuces for all my supporters, bruises for all my haters, and take care.